Have you ever stopped to think about what truly happens when you learn another language?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, beyond just, ordering coffee or navigating a new city.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered how it might actually, rewire your brain and shift the very way you perceive the world?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack this fascinating transformation that occurs when you become bilingual or multilingual,
Mm-hmm.
looking specifically at, the surprising changes in your brain and those subtle but really profound shifts in perspective.
Exactly. And let's forget the rote memorization and endless grammar drills for now, right?
Right.
We're interested in the real juice, the remarkable and often unexpected benefits of really engaging with another language.
Yeah, we're promising to reveal some truly compelling advantages, things like the potential for a stronger, more agile brain, maybe a significant spark in your creativity, and a deeper, more nuanced understanding of the people around you. So why should almost everyone consider, embarking on this journey? Let's explore.
Let's do it.
All right, let's kick things off with something potentially, mind-bending. What exactly is going on inside our heads when we start to grapple with a new language?
Well, there's that common saying, isn't there, that learning a language is like taking your brain to the gym.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And in many ways, that's pretty spot on. Think about the sheer mental workout involved. Your brain is suddenly tasked with managing not just one, but two, or maybe more, distinct systems for communication.
Wow.
You're processing a new vocabulary, different grammatical structures, unfamiliar sounds, all at the same time.
So it's like your brain becomes this incredible switchboard operator, constantly routing information and toggling between these different linguistic worlds.
Precisely. Yeah, that's a great analogy. And this continuous mental exercise, it has demonstrable benefits. Research in cognitive neuroscience, for instance, indicates that actively using a second language can lead to, tangible changes.
Tangible changes in the brain itself.
Yes, in both the physical structure and the functional organization of the brain.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. What specific kinds of changes are we actually talking about here?
Well, studies using brain imaging techniques like fMRI have shown that certain areas of the brain, particularly those involved in what we call executive functions.
Executive functions like planning and focus.
Exactly. Things like sustained attention, planning, cognitive control, those areas can become more robust, more efficient in their activity. And some studies even show increases in gray matter density in those regions.
Really? Like building muscle?
It's analogous, yes. It's like how specific muscle groups develop and strengthen with targeted physical training. The brain adapts to the demand.
Okay, so this regular mental workout, how does that translate into tangible improvements in our everyday thinking? What are the cognitive advantages we might actually experience?
Right. So this strengthening appears to lead to several notable cognitive enhancements. For instance, bilingual individuals often exhibit improved working memory.
Working memory, like remembering a phone number while you dial it.
Sort of, yeah. The constant act of accessing and selecting words and grammatical rules from two distinct language systems seems to strengthen the neural networks responsible for holding and manipulating information in the short term.
That makes intuitive sense. This is like your brain is constantly practicing its information retrieval and management skills. What other cognitive perks are there?
Enhanced focus and attention is another key area. When you're actively using two languages, your brain needs to constantly monitor and, importantly, inhibit the language you're not currently using.
So it doesn't interfere.
Exactly. To avoid interference, this constant mental filtering strengthens your ability to selectively attend to relevant information and ignore distractions. And this isn't just for language tasks. It can transfer to other things, too.
So wait, picking up Italian could actually make me better at staying on task during complex projects at work?
It's quite plausible, yes. That's what some research suggests. The underlying skill of selective attention gets a workout.
That's a surprising connection.
And furthermore, bilingualism has been linked to improved problem-solving skills.
Oh, so?
Well, being accustomed to thinking within different linguistic frameworks seems to make the brain more flexible, more adaptable in its approach to challenges. Studies suggest bilinguals are often quicker at tasks requiring switching between different rule sets, indicating a more agile and versatile approach to problem solving. It's like your brain becomes more adept at seeing things from multiple angles.
Okay, let's unpack that a little more. How does the experience of thinking in another language actually make me a better problem solver in say, a non-linguistic situation, like fixing a leaky tap or something.
Well, maybe not directly for the tap, but it boils down to cognitive flexibility. When you learn a new language, you're not just learning new labels for things you already know.
Right.
You're encountering different ways of categorizing information, different ways of structuring thoughts. Spanish might group concepts differently than English, for example. This forces your brain to become less entrenched in a single way of thinking. It gets used to shifting perspectives, which makes it easier to consider alternative solutions when faced with any kind of problem, really.
Fascinating. And I've also heard whispers, maybe more than whispers, that engaging with another language throughout life can have protective benefits for the brain as we age.
Yes, and this is a really significant area of research right now. It's crucial to emphasize, though, it's not a cure for age-related cognitive decline or dementia.
Right. Important clarification.
But a growing body of evidence suggests that lifelong engagement with more than one language may contribute to what we call cognitive reserve.
Cognitive reserves. What's that exactly?
Think of it like building extra pathways or networks in your brain. If one pathway becomes somewhat less efficient due to aging, the presence of stronger, more numerous connections built through bilingualism might provide alternative routes for information to travel.
Like having detours available if the main road is slow.
Exactly. A good way to put it. And this might potentially delay the onset of noticeable cognitive decline or the symptoms of dementia compared to monolingual individuals with similar underlying brain changes.
So it's not about preventing the aging process itself, but more about equipping your brain with resilience, making it more robust.
Precisely. It's a powerful way to invest in the long-term health and robustness of your cognitive function simply by embracing another way to communicate. Isn't that a remarkable prospect?
Absolutely incredible. Really is. Now, let's pivot slightly. We've explored how learning another language can enhance the brain's flexibility. How does that then connect with our capacity for creativity?
Yes. The relationship between that cognitive flexibility we talked about and creativity is quite compelling. It makes sense, right? When you learn a new language, you're not just memorizing vocabulary lists.
No, definitely not.
You're immersing yourself in a whole new system of expressing ideas, perspectives, and these are inherently linked to the culture of that language.
Okay, can you give me a more concrete example? How might these unique perspectives actually spark creativity?
Well, consider idioms and proverbs. Different languages often have unique metaphorical expressions that offer a really fresh, sometimes insightful way of looking at a common experience.
Like, it's raining cats and dogs in English.
Exactly, which sounds bizarre if you translate it literally. Or take the Spanish idiom, no tener pelos en la lengua. Literally, it means not having hairs on the tongue.
Okay.
But figuratively, it means to speak one's mind directly, without hesitation, bluntly even. Encountering expressions like that exposes you to alternative ways of framing concepts.
Right.
And that can inspire you to think more metaphorically, more unconventionally in your own language and, in your creative endeavors. It highlights that there isn't always just one way, one direct way to express an idea.
So it's about realizing the sheer richness and variety in how humans conceptualize and communicate ideas across cultures.
Precisely. And this awareness cultivates greater cognitive flexibility, which, as we discussed, is a fundamental component of creative thinking outside the box. Being comfortable navigating different linguistic structures can make it easier to break free from conventional thought patterns, to approach problems or artistic expression from novel angles. It's like having a broader palette of mental tools to work with.
Yeah, it's like unlocking different creator channels in your mind somehow.
Exactly. Having access to multiple ways of framing concepts, expressing emotions, it can spark new connections and associations in your mind. This could potentially lead to a richer and more diverse range of creative output.
Makes sense.
Furthermore, the very act of learning another language often heightens your sensitivity to the subtle nuances of meaning in words, both in the new language and, interestingly, back in your native tongue.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
Well, you start really thinking about why this word is used here and not that synonym. This increased awareness of subtlety is invaluable for creative expression, whether you're writing, composing music, painting, designing something.
I can definitely see how that heightened sensitivity to language would be hugely beneficial for anyone in a creative field, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, think about bilingual writers who weave together linguistic and cultural threads from their different language experiences. They create truly unique narratives. Learning a second language truly provides your mind with more perspectives, more ways to connect ideas, and ultimately more potential for innovative thinking.
This is really making me appreciate language learning in a whole new light. Seriously.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to something that I believe is increasingly important, especially in our interconnected world. How learning a second language can deepen our understanding of different cultures and foster greater empathy.
Yes, this is where the benefits really extend beyond the individual, I think, and start to profoundly impact our relationships with others, with the world. Language and culture are just intrinsically intertwined. You can't really separate them.
No, you can't.
Learning a language is like gaining a key, isn't it? It unlocks a deeper understanding of another culture from the inside out.
It's definitely more than just knowing the dictionary definitions of words, isn't it? It's got to be.
Exactly. When you engage with the language, you're also absorbing aspects of the culture associated with it. Things like their customs, their etiquette, their underlying values, their history, even their sense of humor. And their fundamental worldview, really. You start to understand why certain things are said or done in a particular way.
It's like getting an insider's perspective, right? Rather than just being an outsider looking in and maybe misinterpreting things.
Precisely. And this direct exposure allows you, encourages you to step outside your own familiar cultural framework. You start to recognize that your own ways of thinking and behaving are just one valid way among many.
That's humbling.
It is. It challenges your preconceived notions and broadens your understanding of human diversity. And this, quite naturally, cultivates greater empathy.
Empathy, that ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. How does language learning specifically help us develop that?
Well, think about it. When you make the effort to learn someone else's language, you're sending a powerful message. You're demonstrating a genuine interest in them and their culture. It shows respect.
Yeah,
and it allows you to communicate directly without needing a translator, which, let's face it, can sometimes dilute or even alter the intended meaning or the emotional tone.
Definitely.
Understanding someone's thoughts, their feelings, even their humor in their own language, that fosters a much more direct and personal connection.
I can just imagine the difference it makes. Being able to understand someone's frustrations or joys in their own words rather than through a secondhand translation, which might miss the nuance.
Absolutely. It builds bridges of understanding and connection that might not otherwise be possible. It allows you to see the world just a little bit through their eyes. And that fosters tolerance, helps reduce prejudice.
Which we desperately need.
Indeed. In our increasingly globalized world, this capacity to communicate across cultural boundaries and genuinely understand different viewpoints is just invaluable. Learning another language helps us recognize our shared humanity that lies beneath the surface of all these different languages and customs.
That's a really powerful takeaway, really is. Now let's explore a benefit that many people might not immediately consider. Something a bit counterintuitive, perhaps. How learning a second language can actually enhance your understanding and appreciation of your own native language. How does that work?
Yeah, it might seem a bit odd at first, but it's quite common. People who learn another language often report developing a more nuanced awareness of their first language.
Why is that?
Well, when you're actively learning the grammar and vocabulary of a new language, you inevitably start making comparisons, whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously. You compare it to the grammatical structures and vocabulary of your native tongue.
So it forces you to think more deliberately about something you've likely just used automatically your whole life, without really thinking about it.
Exactly that. This comparative process compels you to analyze the mechanics of your native language in a way you probably haven't before. You start noticing grammatical patterns, verb conjugations, or maybe the lack thereof in English compared to others.
Yes.
And subtle nuances in vocabulary that you might have previously just taken for granted.
Can you give me a specific example? How might studying, say, French illuminate something about English?
Okay, we'll take grammatical gender. If you learn a language like French or Spanish that has grammatical gender for nouns, le livre, la table, it can make you more consciously aware that English largely lacks this feature.
Right, we just say the book, the table.
Exactly. And you start noticing the other linguistic tools English uses to convey similar kinds of distinctions, or perhaps where it doesn't make those distinctions. Or maybe you learn a language with a really complex system of verb tenses. That might highlight the relatively simpler tense structure in English and how we rely heavily on auxiliary verbs like will or have to express different aspects of time. You might also become more attuned to the subtle connotations of different synonyms in English when you're struggling to find the most accurate translation for a single word in your second language.
Yeah, that search for the perfect word.
Precisely. So it's like holding up a mirror to your own language and seeing its structure, its quirks, its intricacies with fresh eyes.
That's fascinating. So learning a second language isn't just about acquiring a new skill. It often acts as a lens, a way to gain a deeper, more analytical, and ultimately richer understanding of the language you've spoken your entire life.
Well said, yes.
Okay, so we've covered some truly fascinating cognitive and cultural benefits and the surprising effect on our native language too. But let's not overlook the more immediate and often primary motivations for many people, the practical, real-world advantages.
Absolutely. Can't forget those. While the brain-boosting and empathy-building aspects are incredibly valuable, the tangible, practical benefits are also very compelling drivers for many learners. Let's start with travel, perhaps.
Yes. Oh, I can only imagine how much more enriching and, frankly, less stressful it would be to travel if you could genuinely connect with the people and culture through their own language. Even a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing even a basic level of the local language can completely transform your travel experiences. It's not just about logistics, though it certainly helps there.
Like ordering food or asking directions.
Right. It makes navigating practicalities like transportation, accommodation, ordering food much smoother, less anxiety-inducing. But beyond that, it empowers you to interact with locals on a more authentic level. You can ask for insider tips, understand local customs firsthand, handle unexpected situations, a delayed train, needing a pharmacy with much greater confidence. It truly opens doors to richer, safer, and just more immersive, more fun travel adventures.
Definitely sounds like a game changer for anyone who loves to explore the world. What about career and professional opportunities? That's a big one too.
Huge. In today's increasingly interconnected global marketplace, bilingualism and multilingualism are highly sought after skills. They really are.
You see it on job ads all the time.
You do. Possessing proficiency in another language, particularly one that's significant in international business or specific industries, can significantly enhance your professional profile. It could unlock opportunities for jobs in multinational corporations, roles involving international communication or collaboration,
Right.
positions in translation or interpretation services, careers in tourism and hospitality, catering to international visitors, even opportunities in diplomacy in international organizations. The list goes on.
So it's not just a sort of nice to have on a resume anymore. It can actually be a significant competitive advantage.
Absolutely. It often is. It can lead to greater opportunities for advancement, potentially higher earning potential, the chance to work on international projects, or even relocate to different countries if that's something you're interested in. It undeniably makes you a more versatile and competitive candidate in a globalized job market.
That's a pretty compelling reason in itself, isn't it? What other practical advantages are there beyond travel and career?
Well, consider the expanded access to information, culture, and entertainment. Knowing another language, especially a widely spoken one like Spanish or Mandarin or French, grants you access to a vast wealth of resources in their original form.
Like news sources.
Exactly. You can engage with international news outlets, getting diverse perspectives on global events, not just the filter you get in your native language. You can delve into scientific research, academic articles, expert blogs published in other languages. You can even participate in online courses offered by universities around the world. And of course, maybe more enjoyably for some, you can access a whole universe of books, music, films, podcasts, TV shows in their original language.
Yes. Watching a film without dubbing or subtitles changing the meaning.
Precisely, allowing you to appreciate the nuances of expression, the cultural context, the original humor that can sometimes be inevitably lost in translation.
It really does open up a whole new world of possibilities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's powerful to realize that while you're pursuing these practical goals, better travel, career boost, more movies, you're also simultaneously strengthening your brain, broadening your perspective, and cultivating empathy. It's a multifaceted win.
Exactly. It all works together. Now, I imagine some of you listening might be thinking, okay, this all sounds incredibly beneficial, fantastic, but learning a new language seems like such a monumental task.
Yeah, daunting.
And perhaps it's just too late for me. I'm not a kid anymore. What would you say to that very common concern?
That's a very understandable feeling, absolutely. And look, it's true that language learning requires dedication and effort. There's no magic wand.
Yeah.
However, it's really crucial to dispel the myth that adults are somehow incapable of learning new languages effectively. That's just not borne out by the evidence.
Absolutely not. While children may have some advantages in certain aspects, like maybe acquiring native-like pronunciation more easily.
Right, the accent thing.
Adults bring a wealth of their own strengths to the learning process. We often have stronger intrinsic motivation. We choose to learn for specific reasons: career, travel, love. And we possess more developed learning strategies based on our years of education and life experience. We're often better equipped to understand grammatical explanations explicitly, and we usually have a clearer awareness of our own learning styles, what works for us.
And those cognitive benefits we talked about earlier, the memory boost, the better focus, so those still apply to adults who learn a language later in life.
Yeah.
It's not just a childhood thing.
Absolutely. Research consistently shows that adults who embark on the journey of learning a second language still experience significant cognitive benefits, including those improvements in memory and attention. So please don't let age or the perceived difficulty be a deterrent. It's never too late to start benefiting.
It's also so important to remember, I think, that fluency isn't the only goal.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Oh, definitely not.
Every step you take in learning a language, even mastering a few basic phrases for a trip, can be incredibly rewarding and can open up new connections and experiences.
Exactly right. The key is really to find learning methods that resonate with you, methods that you genuinely enjoy, whether that's through music, maybe watching foreign films, using interactive language learning apps, finding conversation partners online or locally, or taking structured classes, whatever floats your boat, really. Make it fun. Make it fun. Consistency is far more important than intensity. Even short, regular practice sessions, 15-20 minutes a day, can yield significant progress over time. And most importantly, perhaps, be patient and kind to yourself throughout the process.
Yes.
Celebrate the small victories, ordering that coffee successfully, understanding a line in a song, and don't be discouraged by the inevitable challenges and plateaus. They happen to everyone.
Absolutely. So just to quickly summarize the incredible range of benefits we've uncovered today. Learning a second language is like a fantastic workout for your brain. It potentially enhances memory, focus, problem-solving abilities, and may even contribute to long-term cognitive resilience as we age.
And we've also explored how it can genuinely spark your creativity by exposing you to entirely new ways of thinking and expressing yourself, and how it acts as this vital bridge to other cultures, fostering deeper understanding and, crucially, empathy.
And perhaps surprisingly for some, it can even give you a richer appreciation and understanding of your own native language, which is quite a bonus.
It is. Plus, on top of all that, it offers substantial practical advantages for enriching travel, expanding career opportunities, and accessing a much wider world of information and entertainment.
Yeah.
Ultimately, engaging with another language is just so much more than acquiring a new line on your CV. It's a profoundly human endeavor, I think. It connects us, it broadens our horizons, and it enriches our lives in countless ways, both tangible and, perhaps more importantly, intangible.
It truly is a journey of discovery, isn't it? Not just of another culture or another way of speaking, but also a journey of self-discovery, unlocking your own potential. So, yeah, we wholeheartedly encourage you to consider either starting or perhaps continuing your own adventure in language learning.
Absolutely. Just think. What new connections could you forge? What new perspectives might you gain? And what unexpected possibilities might you unlock for yourself simply by embracing the challenge and the joy of learning another language? It's certainly a question worth exploring further, don't you think?